In the headlines, residents of a St. Michael community on edge after 2 shootings just days apart. White Hill residents rejoice as road paving brings ease of access. The Health Ministry responds to misinformation about the scabies outbreak at the geriatric hospital. And in sports, Barbados Tridents eliminated from World Cup qualification.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news. Another shooting in the Eden Lodge community last night has left residents shaken, and the representative for the St. Michael North constituency calling for gunmen to put down their weapons. Crystal Hoyt has all the details.
Residents of Eden Lodge St. Michael are on edge, afraid to speak after 2 shootings mere days apart right here in this community. The latest just last night. Police responded to a shooting on Sorrel Lane around 8:30 p.m. Reports indicate a man was shot multiple times by a masked assailant. A resident who did not want to be identified on camera told CBC what she heard.
I was sleeping and I heard the gunshots, and I ran straight inside to see if my sons was alive. And I heard the 2 of them, and I heard 2 of them, and I was just shaking because in the time they say, like when you hear shots, it's either somebody dead or somebody nearly dead. And as a mother, you don't want even hear nobody's sons get killed. I speaking from a place where my son gets shot already. My heart goes to the mother that lost his son, and I would love the government to do something with these guns.
2 days earlier, on Monday, June 2nd, 24-year-old Dante Arlene of Block 20E Downhill Drive was fatally shot just mere meters from his home. He was approached by an assailant and shot multiple times, eventually succumbing to his injuries. Member of Parliament for the constituency, Davison Ishmael, says it's a heartbreaking situation.
I just want to express condolences first and foremost to the family that would have lost their son during the course of this week. And of course, whatever assistance that I can render to the family of the young man who was shot just last night as well in the same area. And if I could say anything to the people of St. Michael North and Eden Lodge and even the wider Barbadian public, it is for us to really, put down the guns, end the violence. There are ways that we can resolve conflict. We need to think through it, and we need to make sure that we are making the best possible decision in the situation, and that decision can never be to take up any type of a weapon and inflict harm on another person.
These incidents have left the community in shock. Meanwhile, the authorities are urging anyone with information to come forward and assist police with their investigations. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Another young Barbadian male has lost his life to the gun. 25-year-old Terrell Rogers of Haynesville, St. James, succumbed to bullet wounds at the hospital. Police say he was liming in the area of Heartland Road at its junction with Central Close, Haynesville, around 25 minutes to 10, when a series of gunshots were discharged, striking him. He was taken to the hospital by private motor car. Police are asking anyone with information that can assist with their investigations into this fatal shooting to contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477 or Police Emergency at 211. And the Barbados Police Service is seeking the assistance of the public in locating 24-year-old Shane Michael Jordan, who is wanted for questioning in connection with serious criminal matters. Jordan, whose last known address is Bush Hall, St. Michael, is approximately 5 feet 11 inches in height, slim build, and is of a dark complexion. He is advised that he can present himself to the Criminal Investigations Department, Blackrock Police Station, Blackrock, St. Michael, accompanied by an attorney at law of his choice. Any person who may know the whereabouts of Jordan is asked to contact the police. Members of the public are also reminded that it is a serious offense to harbor or assist wanted persons, and any person caught committing this offense can be prosecuted. Well, relief this evening for residents of White Hill, St. Andrew, where there's been significant improvement to the road infrastructure. Paving has started on phase 2 of the White Hill under the Scotland District Road Rehabilitation Project. Our Anesta Henry and cameraman Chris Wood took to the area today to feel the pulse of the people.
This is how most of the roads at White Hill St. Andrew now looks. It's a far cry from the disrepair motorists and other road users had to endure for many years. In fact, land slippage and road collapses had cut off vehicular access in some parts of the community. Now, after a long wait, residents are happy to see a segment of the road paved, which reconnects the Hillaby and White Hill communities. The Scotland District Road Rehabilitation Project has made this possible. Member of Parliament for the area and the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Transport and Works, Dr. Ramel Springer, says he is pleased that residents can now safely drive from anywhere in St. Andrew into White Hill.
And that essentially solves the main problem that we set out to solve, which is restoring connection to these communities. Of course, this is just phase 2 of an ongoing project, which has 3 phases. We have completed phase 1. We paved that last year, and this is the segment of phase 2 that is we will call a new build section. And it's just a small section which is really just a restoration of the existing road that has now to be paved and proper drainage put in, and that will basically complete phase 2 of this road.
Dr. Springer says the improved infrastructure has made a big difference in the lives of constituents.
They can see that the value of the land would no doubt go up because of the utilities that were placed in there. The road has been placed in there, and utilities including natural gas and BWA have been placed there, so now that area now is now ripe for development.
Community activist Carlita Andrews was one of the voices calling for better road infrastructure over the years. Today, she's overjoyed about the paving in progress.
I know the Prime Minister make a lot of good decisions, and she always does. I must hand that to her. But I know one of the most decisions that she had made that is dear to my heart is to get the Chinese to do the road in White Hill, because I live it from day to day and see the infrastructure has been put into the road, and I know it's a lot of hard work, and I can see the longevity of the road and the stability.
Under phase 3, a section of the original road will be restored. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
The Ministry of Health has issued a strong response to what is deemed to be exaggerated claims about the scabies outbreak at the geriatric hospital at Beccles Road in St. Michael. In a comprehensive statement issued today, Chief Medical Officer Dr. the Most Honorable Kenneth George rejected suggestions that the matter was not being handled properly and nurses were being sidelined. He said the outbreak does not meet the threshold of a public health emergency of national significance, as there's no significant impact on the public or overwhelming strain on resources.
There is no evidence of spread to schools, homes, or the general population. The situation remains controlled, and claims of the outbreak being first communicated via media are inaccurate. Internal protocols were followed, though we continue to improve our communications. Our nurses are the backbone of healthcare, and we value their commitment deeply. Recruitment is fair and transparent, ensuring all foreign and local professionals meet the same standards. Claims that Barbadian nurses are sidelined are unfounded.
The Chief Medical Officer has also dismissed claims that there are over 24 cases of scabies.
As of the 5th June 2025, there are 11 confirmed patient cases. No official data supports the claim of 24 patients or 7 infected nurses. This is a dynamic situation. Infection control measures are active, and we remain confident in a responsible resolution. Contact tracing continues, and scabies, most often spread through prolonged contact, is likely to have been introduced by external sources such as visitors or even staff. The ministry urges the public to ignore misinformation and to rely on official sources.
Now you can catch the Chief Medical Officer's full statement right here on TV8 just after news and lotteries at around 8:03 p.m. Well, coming up, tourism in Barbados and the Caribbean surpassing pre-COVID levels. Many Caribbean countries have not only recovered from the shock of the COVID-19 pandemic, but have gone on to surpass pre-COVID pandemic visitor levels. That's according to Minister of Tourism and International Transport Ian Gooding-Edgell, who's also chairman of the Council of Ministers and Commissioners of Tourism. He was addressing the launch of the Caribbean Tourism Organization's Reimagine Plan 2025 at Caribbean Week 2025, New York City in the U.S. The minister says this is a remarkable achievement. He adds that while this accomplishment speaks volumes about the strength of regional collaboration and the enduring allure of Caribbean identity, it must not be taken for granted.
At the core of this conviction is the collaboration of our greatest strength. If we are to thrive, governments, private sector, representatives, communities, and global partners, we must align around a shared purpose. Together, we can secure the Caribbean's rightful place as the world's leading year-round warm weather destination.
And Minister Gooding-Edgell is also calling on policymakers and stakeholders to embrace the Reimagine Plan. It includes strengthening connectivity across the region and advancing data sharing and digital infrastructure, as well as harnessing tourism intelligence and real-time statistics to shape strategic decisions, among other goals.
These efforts are tangible pathways to economic growth, social progress, and generational transformation. These efforts are investments in our youth, our entrepreneurs, our artisans, our farmers, and our hospitality professionals, creating intersectoral linkages that will redound to the benefit of our people who make this region, the Caribbean region, so unique.
Government's quest to revolutionize farming in Barbados to boost food production and fight the crippling effects of climate change is moving closer to becoming a reality. As early as next month, Barbados will begin the pilot phase of an indoor vertical farm project, a game changer for the farming sector. Our Anesta Henry has that update.
Indoor vertical farms are state-of-the-art controlled environment agriculture. This farming method maximizes yield, optimizes space, and reduces water use by up to 95%, all while eliminating pesticides and herbicides. The arrival of 3 specially designed containers and 4 compact units on the island on July 4th from the Netherlands will signal the beginning of the first farming project of its kind in the region. Minister of Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Security Inda Rear says the introduction of vertical farming is coming at a time when statistics show a decline in local vegetable and fruit production linked to climate change.
We would immediately have them assemble and start the training here in July. So, and it's a good thing too, because you know July is right into our hurricane season, and therefore, as we all know, when we get into heavy rainfall, a lot of the crops, the leafy green crops especially, are impacted by floods. So everything is really timely. What I'm hoping for is that by the end of this year, we would have a full set of these farms assembled across Barbados.
Sustainability benefits of indoor vertical farming include space saving, water saving, no pesticides, reduction in transport, higher yields, more efficient use of resources, reduced food waste, and carbon negative farming. Co-founder and director for business development with Indoor Vertical Farm, Bernard Slicer, says mainly leafy vegetables will be grown during the pilot project.
The total of these 3 containers is approximately then 96 square meters of growing surface, which will, based on leafy greens, if we take romaine as an example, we will be producing 18 times per year. So where often outside you might have 2, maybe 3 harvests per year, we can do 18 cycles per year. that will produce approximately 21,000 kilos of lettuce, romaine lettuce per year.
The compact units will be strategically placed across the island for training purposes.
These units are approximately 3.5 meters wide, 2 meters high and 1.2 meters deep. Glass on both sides, so they could be placed in the middle of a room and then can be entered from either side. Now, these units are especially useful for R&D on, for example, new plant types or plant recipes, training purposes.
Once the containers and units are set up, the training will begin. Indoor Vertical Farm will be bringing a plant scientist, agronomist, and an operational officer to facilitate the training. Local companies will also be engaged in the installation and maintenance of these farms. The 2025 to 2026 budget has made provisions for $5 million to be allocated for farmers to access indoor vertical farms to produce leafy green vegetables. The objective is for Barbados to eventually produce its own gourmet vegetables and fruits used particularly in the tourism industry through indoor farming. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Sports time now with Anne-Marie Burke. Good night to you, Anne-Marie.
Good night to you, Tisha, and good night to the viewers. We start with football news as Barbados has been eliminated from the 2026 CONCACAF FIFA World Cup qualifiers after the senior men's national team squandered the chance to get a victory last evening against Aruba at the Wildy Turf. The Tridents needed a win to keep their slim hopes of advancing to the third and final round of qualifying alive, but had to settle for a point. CBC's Almar Goodrich-Boyce was there and files this report.
Barbados in the yellow kit searching for their first victory of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying campaign welcome visitors Aruba to the BFA Technical Center. Both teams needed a win to keep their hopes of progressing to the third and final round alive, and it was the home team which struck first. 7 minutes in, Omani Lee caught the little wizard with magic in the box. The Aruba defenders finding it hard to make him disappear. Draws the foul and referee Andrew Samuel points to the spot. Loud cheers from the home crowd. Penalty to Barbados. Good start from the hosts. And it got better moments later when Leacock stepped up and passed it into the bottom corner. Capture the moment. Just the start the crowd desired. Barbados 1, Aruba 0. 8 minutes later, however, the visitors drew level. Barbados unable to cope with the set piece, and it's touched in by Derek Ladens. And that was the score after the first 45 minutes. 1-1 at half-time. Lots for the fans to discuss and debate. To the second half, and it was Barbados who looked more likely to restore their lead. This was just one of several opportunities. 15 minutes to go, the home team on the probe again. Tajio James slides it into Omani Leacock, who puts it wide. There was growing frustration and anticipation around the turf at this stage as the Tridents got closer. James now with a one-on-one puts it straight at the keeper. It definitely looked like one of those nights, all bar little bite. Still Barbados kept on pushing. Leacock twists and turns, finds James, who sets up captain Andre Appaway, but the wait for the winner goes on. The fourth official signal added minutes, 90 plus 3 on the clock. Still time for a winner. Leacock, as he did all night, taking the defenders to the cleaners, and eventually is brought down. So nice, he did it twice. Penalty with just a couple seconds left. Listen to the crowd. Over 700 fans on their feet for the final kick of the game. A chance for Leacock to become an instant hero. Can you believe it? He sent it wide of the bar. He'll be facing nightmares after watching this over. Final score, Barbados 1, Aruba 1. Anmar Goodrich Boys, CBC Sports.
To cricket now, new West Indies T20 international captain Shai Hope has urged his side to put the results of the recently concluded one-day international series in the past and focus on the upcoming 3 T20 internationals against host England beginning tomorrow. The West Indies will be entering the T20 phase, searching for their first win of the tour after being swept 3-0 in the one-dayers. Hope is in his first assignment, says being named as T20 skipper. He wants his team to learn from their mistakes, but ultimately put those results in the rearview mirror.
It's a different squad now. We have to put that ODI series behind us, take the learnings from it for sure. And then look ahead. We've got a new captain, some experienced players coming back into the T20 side. So there's a lot to look forward to. Yes, take the learnings from the ODI series, but focus now is on the T20. It's a very, very big contest. We understand, even from back in the olden days, it's a big rivalry between the two teams. And I don't think that would ever change. So it's something that we always look forward to as players. And we always talk about a series against England, whether it's home or away. And I don't think that would change.
With a record 121 cars starting this year's BCIC Rally Barbados 2025, the emerging champion team was a duo of Jamaican Kyle Gregg and Barbadian Craig Yearwood, who also walked with the FIA R5 trophies as well as the highest placed overseas crew title. The pair drove in their winning Ford Fiesta Rally 2 car. Gregg paid tribute to everyone who assisted in their winning journey.
First of all, I want to wish Stuart, Christian, Jeffrey, and Andrew a speedy recovery. I mean, this is rallying, and it's a part of the sport. To my team, James, Ian, Everton, Brett, Oliver, Ori, the whole works. Dad, Mom, Jody, thank you. My wife is actually 8.5 months pregnant, so she allowed me to rally this weekend. But, big thanks to my sponsors. We couldn't have done it without them. Love it. I worked hard 2, 3, 4 days of rallying this weekend. But big up to everybody. Thanks.
The Jamaican team of Jeffrey Panton and Michael Fennell Jr. finished second in their Ford Fiesta Rally car, ahead of Barbadians Josh Reed and Mark Jordan, who were also in a Ford Fiesta R2 vehicle. Despite finishing 9th overall, the pair of Roger Mears and Barry Ward were champions of Super Modified 2 and were also the fastest two-wheel drive champions. Super Modified 1 was won by Edward Corbin and Jonathan Ali. Simon John Joseph was the Open RGT class winner, while the Open class winners were Tom Stockdale and Neil Chambers. Modified 1 was won by Carlos Edwards and Jacob Richards. Former double club champion Neil Corbin and Matthew Staffner won Modified 2. Modified 3 went to Jonathan Still and Heath Hazel, while Kurt Thompson and Adam Straker won Modified 4. John Joseph and his MRT team won the Spirit of the Rally Award. The highest placed female driver was Natalia Sudeen, with the highest placed female co-driver being Kaylee Catwell. Historic 1 went to Dan Gibson and Dan Moorfield, while 2 was won by Robin and Vanessa Hamilton. Clubman 1 was won by Kyle and Gerard Gill, and Clubman 2 went to the Greg Cozier and Natasha Farnham, while Robert Ryan Wood and Tristan Mapp took Clubman 3. The Scottish pair of Andy Scott and Owen Patterson won the Sunday Cup.
The Business Report, brought to you with the compliments of Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
Let us double intra-regional trade by 2025. Minister of Energy and Business, Senator Lisa Cummins, made the call as she addressed the Barbados Manufacturers Association's International Business Conference at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre today. Trevor Thorpe was at the conference and files this report.
The minister said life in the Caribbean has been shaped by shipping lanes and sea currents that have also conditioned our destiny, and the time has come for us to change all that.
Let us commit to a couple of things in this room. First, and I see that the CPSO is on the agenda to speak a little later, let us commit to doubling intra-regional trade by 2035. And why am I choosing 2035? We have a regional energy target, certainly a national energy target for 2035. Let us match that energy target, deriving 100% of our energy from renewables, the sun, the waves, the wind, including hydrogen, looking at where we can have intra-regional exchanges of energy. Let us do the same thing for our productive sectors. Let us double intra-regional trade by 2035.
The minister called for a reduction on the average shipping times and to make sure no Caribbean country spends more than 3 days without essential food supplies.
The Caribbean is in a logistics trap. It is for that reason that you have heard Prime Minister Motley and other ministers in this government, including myself, speaking about the importance of Barbados becoming a logistics hub. It is for that reason that you've heard us speaking about the importance of turning a historical geographical issue where we were the hub for the transatlantic slave trade to become the hub now for logistics into the Caribbean and into the Americas. It is that moment in time where we have to actually stop talking about it and just do it. It is in action, as I've said, that is our enemy.
Senator Cummins told the audience, made up of government officials and business leaders, now is the time to remove our dependence on transshipment hubs.
We are over-dependent on pre-existing, long-determined shipping routes. We are over-dependent on long-established transshipment hubs. We import 80% of our food. Our regional trade barely accounts for 15% of total exports. And in many cases, it costs more to ship a container from Barbados to Trinidad than it does from Barbados to the United Kingdom. How is that possible? We have to reshape this narrative. It is not sustainable. It is not economical. It is not environmental, and most certainly, it is not sustainable geopolitically.
The BMA is preparing to host its annual trade exposition, formerly BMEX, at the Garfield Sobers Gymnasium this weekend. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Well, Anne-Marie's back for the second half of sports.
Yes, Tisha, and I start with the news that the Barbados Olympic Association has officially launched its sustainability strategy for the next 5 years, titled Play Green, Live Clean, It's Our Nature. Today's media conference marked World Environment Day, and it cements the BOA's support of the United Nations Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. The education drive among local federations will be spearheaded by 6 current and former athletes who will be sustainability ambassadors. They're Chelsea Tuak of surfing, triathletes Matthew Wright and Kayla Renwick, wrestler Adrian Maynard, along with former national swimmers Terrence Haynes and Matthew Ford.
I think as a surfer, it's easy to understand my love and connection to the ocean. It's not only my training ground and my competitive arena, but it's my sanctuary and where I feel most at home. Through the many hours I've spent riding its waves, I've also gained a unique and first-hand perspective of the ocean's changing conditions and its vulnerability to climate change.
President of the BOA, Sandra Osborne, also used the opportunity to launch a new plastic bottle receptor located at its headquarters at Wildy, which is in partnership with the Bees Recycling. Ms. Osborne says sport, and in particular the International Olympic Committee, has its part to play in sustainability efforts.
The relationship between sport and nature is symbiotic. Our land, our beaches, and our water provide the environment for training and competition. And many of our sports, as we all know, are played in the open air, in buildings, and on water. We travel to competitions and consume energy and thus leave a carbon footprint. We consume materials such as paper and plastics, and so on.
Director of IGT Anthony Shelan E. Chong applauded the BOA for being the first Caribbean National Olympic Committee to formally sign an international declaration regarding sustainability.
Preserving the environment today ensures that tomorrow's athletes have the same opportunities to train, compete, and thrive as our athletes today. The choices we make now to reduce waste, conserve resources, and protect our natural surroundings are part of the legacy that we are leaving behind. It is our shared responsibility to ensure that the next generation we are not just building a strong sporting culture, but we also focus and prioritize building and sustaining a healthy environment in which the culture can grow.
Local, regional and international umpires, officials from the Barbados Cricket Association and the local cricket fraternity joined family and friends at the St. Catherine's Anglican Church in St. Philip last evening to bid farewell to former first-class cricket umpire and match referee Patrick Grisette. Grisette, who was an active member of the St. Catherine's Sports Club and served as the executive vice president of the West Indies Umpires Association, was also a former vice president of the Barbados Cricket Umpires Association and served as their chairman of training. He was remembered by ICC and top regional umpire Billy Doctrove as having made a positive impact on the lives of many with whom he came into contact, and Doctrove especially treasured the friendship they shared.
And Patrick and I shared many happy days and memories. We shared a lot of the same opinions, and as I said, he was a deep thinker. He was not a very loud person, but he was very adamant in his points that he would carry across.
Grisette, who left to mourn his mum and 4 children, was laid to rest in the churchyard of St. Catherine's Anglican Church.
And that's news. Thank you so much for spending the time with us. On behalf of the entire crew, do have a great night.